In this video, we're going over the top 5 things that most people take for granted in TF2. The things that most people believe to have been part of the game for ages and if not forever. Oh, what's that? This is not the video you were hoping for? Why did you even bother to click the link? Alright, got some other ideas I should cover, smartass? Leave them in comments. Contracts were first added into the game with the gunmetal update on the 2nd of June 2015. They are essentially little objectives that the player can achieve whilst playing and in turn receive rewards for. The first campaign, called the Gunmetal campaign, was a 3-month event which rewarded players with exclusive items upon completion. However, the player needed the Gunmetal campaign pass in order to get access to these contracts. One might think that it wasn't worth it, but he would be mistaken. All the paid campaigns we've had up to this day were essentially profitable. If done correctly, the player was able to get more money from it than he had paid, because of the valuable items the player would be rewarded with. After the first campaign, TF2 received 4 other campaigns in various updates. The first campaign after Gunmetal was Tough Break, introduced with the Tough Break update. This campaign was bigger than the Gunmetal campaign was, therefore kept players playing for longer, was essentially the purpose of these campaigns. The introduction of a campaign, which is always paired with an update, allows players to explore the new content through the contracts tied with the update. Some contracts force the player to use specific weapon or combination of weapons, which could introduce the player to different playstyles and which in turn potentially increase the playtime and make the game more interesting because of this refreshing experience. The other 3 campaigns, which were the Halloween contracts added in Scream Fortress 2017, the Mercenary Park paid campaign and the Pyro contracts free campaign, introduced with that Jungle Inferno update in 2017, and during Scream Fortress X in 2018, Valve reset the 2017 Halloween contracts so they could be unlocked once again. Some people argue that the microtransactions got so popular within the gaming industry because of TF2's success with them, since Valve was essentially among the first to do so. Nowadays, microtransactions seem to be part of every game, with EA being the king amongst game developers. Microtransactions were added into the game with the Manconomy update on the 30th of September 2010, alongside 65 new items to fill the store, the trading system and item customization. This all-new system made it able for players to buy hats, weapons, tools, minigames, gifts and crates through the store for real-world currency. Through various other updates, most but not all items that were added into the game were also added to the store, where they were up for purchase. These days, players are advised not to buy anything other than keys or valuable paints through the Manco store because of outrageous prices. For example, some taunts can cost up to 10 euros, with being far less valuable in the community-driven economy. However, weapons are far worse, with costs around 30 cents each, while they're utterly worthless when it comes to the value they hold within the economy. Even though the community only advises to buy keys and paints, enough people still make the mistake of buying other items such as weapons. I was among one of them. Even though most of us do not like microtransactions, Valve's implementation is mostly cosmetic with a few exceptions. For example, a player has 2 options to get access to weapons. One is to play the game and receive them through item drops. Another option is to take a shortcut and buy them through the store, which cuts down the amount of time it takes to collect them all significantly. However, some items can only be bought from the store, such as tour duty tickets, which players need in order to participate in the Man Up Man vs Machine campaign. Therefore, I do not believe the store to be of such annoyance as other implementations of microtransactions in other games have shown to be. This and the next one would probably raise a few questions by most of you. How come that people were playing these classes? An engineer is supposed to be able to move and pick up his buildings. Well, that's only after the engineering update, which was released on the 8th of July 2010. Prior to that, players playing the engineer class were not able to pick up, rotate or move their buildings after they first built them. This might seem as a small addition to a major content update, however, it shaped the engineer into what he's capable of doing today. For example, imagine playing Man vs Machine without being able to pick up your sentry when 2 sentry busters are coming at you. This must have been a pain in the ass for CJ. These days, it's of uttermost importance to at least have the ability to relocate your buildings. Your team might push, leave your sentry in a spot of no significance, or get your sentry destroyed when the other teams advance. However, rotating buildings doesn't have such an impact on the gameplay as picking them up and moving them around has. All but for one building, the exit teleporter. Without being able to rotate your exit teleporter, taking the teleporter might actually be more annoying than just straight up walking if you're constantly hugging the wall upon exiting the teleporter. Anyway, like mentioned earlier, this is a small addition to the skill set of the engineer class, almost 3 years after TF2's initial release shaped Uncle Dane to be what he currently is, an NG main. The Pyro's initial purpose was the so-called WM1 at all times. Yes, I said it and it's true. Before the Pyro update, which released on 19th of June 2008, Pyro was only able to set people on fire with his primary. There was no compress blast or alt fire or reflect. It was just flames and fire. Everywhere. Interestingly enough, this was also the first update that used the technique of revealing the content of major updates over the time instead of one big chunk of information on release date of the update. Thank you, Valve, for doing that. It was also the second major content update for Team Fortress 2, the first being the Gold Rush update, which released only 51 days prior to the Pyro major content update. Nowadays, we would die for major update each year. Alright, to get back to the main point of this number 2 on the list of top 5 things people take for granted in TF2, the Pyro can now do more than he used to. The Pyro turned into a more versatile class, a class similar to the engineer update later that learned another vital skill in his life, something that changed the class forever, from WM1 into WM1 plus reflecting. There's not a lot I can really say about this other than it was a great addition to the game by the developers, and it only took them under a year after release to realize that the WM1 Pyro just wasn't fun. And then, the one you've all been waiting for, the first entry out of the top 5, the one that is king of all else that could be taken for granted in Team Fortress 2. The fact that the Uber update released on the 23rd of June 2011 and that with it came a rather important update to Team Fortress 2. This new major content update updated the shared localization files of the source engine. On the 23rd of June 2011, alongside the rest of the Uber update, Team Fortress 2 turned from a pay-to-play into a free-to-play game. Valve probably realized that the number of players that would buy weapons in the Manco store would go up if the more people were playing the game, so they made it available to everyone. Up to this day, TF2 is the most installed and played game on Steam, which is rather impressive if you compare it to the other games which boomed, such as PUBG in the past or Dota 2 and CSGO currently. This sudden change from pay-to-play to free-to-play was so well received that the developers decided to continue maintaining the game for years to come. Without this change, the game would have probably died a lot earlier and wouldn't have seen so many updates as it has today. Team Fortress 2 got so popular that if people talk about cosmetics in a game in any context, they would name the hat simulator Team Fortress 2 is most known for. And believe we should all be proud for the fact that we could call ourselves part of TF2's history, that we can relate with TF2 and the fact that we have all spent absurd amounts of money on this freaking game. It might not be as popular as it has been in the past nowadays, but at least it's still popular among us gamers. True gamers. You've made it this far into the video? Impressive. You want a pat on the shoulder? Yeah? Too bad the technology of today doesn't allow me to provide you with the compliment you do not deserve. Anyway, this is pretty much the end of the video. Quite predictable if you already rounded off the top 5 things, huh? I'm pretty sure this is usually the part in which creators beg viewers to click the subscribe button. I'm not like them. I usually beg my viewers to not click the subscribe button because that means they expect me to upload again. In other words, make sure you leave a follow over on my Twitch channel if you're into live commentary and gameplay. I have a set schedule with streams every Monday, Wednesday and Friday from 3 PM till 6 PM Central European time. Hope to see you there one day. In addition, join the Discord by clicking yet another link which is in the description, or type the following insanely difficult URL in the search bar and click on enter and meet the surrounding community and become part of it yourself. We have about 250 members as of now, and I would love to expand the family with all of you. Lastly, if you got Twitter account and you're occasionally interested in interesting tweets but mostly interested in nonsense, give my Twitter a follow, will surely not fulfill your needs. And we've also got a Steam group, but I guess nobody cares about that. And now, the part you've all been waiting for, the awkward 5 seconds at the end of every YouTube video.